Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Shirley. Hi, Francie. Ooh, snowy there, huh? I'm going to grab my die cut machine quick, guys, because I may need that. And I don't have that handy. I don't know if we're going to use it or not, but I wanted to make sure I had it just in case. All right. I see we are live. I was all kind of prepped, so I didn't get up here right away tonight. Good evening, Karen. Good evening, Walter. I'm going to turn my TV down here. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to switch my screen right away. Hi, Glenda. Uh, Hi, Kate. It snowed here today and we got to walk in a little snow, but it all melted right away. But it's going to be cold in the morning. It's going to be like 2 degrees. So we are going to play with my favorite Christmas stamp set. This was the first one, I guess, in the very first Christmas box. I somehow scored it on a D stash before. I didn't know that. And then, or I bought it. I don't know. But I've had it a long time and it's been re-released in the holiday archive release. It's now called Happy Holidays. There's not a name on this one. And I showed this last week, and this is the inspiration for tonight. We're going to use this. So, and I did forget to mark one thing in my comments. Hi, Melissa. We're going to use the Flourishing Holidays tonight too. So, first I wanted to show you last week. Remember we foiled those panels and I foiled one of the panels? 2. It'll be 2 in the morning. I told Fletch that we were going for a fast walk, not a lot of sniffing. I wanted to show you how I finished my card off. So here's the other. Hi, Mama. I cut my panel down in half. I don't remember if it was which. It was right here. I had foiled it with a magical shattered glass. And I finished it off using some lunch bag with one of the elaborate edge dies that I cut in half, and then just a Merry Christmas and a few gems. However, last week's card with the I don't know if I have it anymore with the poinsettia inspired this week's card. So this week's card is going to be a variation of this. Thank you, Francie. This is what we're going to do tonight. Now I have to change it up a little bit. And the reason I had to change it up a little bit is the embossing powder I used was the dill pickle. And the dill pickle was special from Jess's birthday. I don't know if you can kind of see that. You can kind of see the shimmer, but it is sold out. So we're going to change it up and do a little bit, do this card, but yet with different things. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's also some gold, there's some silver flecks in here, and I'll show you how we did that. So I hope everyone's having a great week. Now I did go ahead and do a bunch of options tonight because I am going to actually use the Yuletide. The Yuletide was in the Christmas stocking, and I think there might be only a couple left. And it's got green and silver in it. So I'm going to use this tonight, but I wanted to give you guys some options. So the first option you can do, and this is all on lunch bag, is the martini. I know when I bring something on camera, that's why it refocuses. A martini is a beautiful green. So we're going to show some of these, and then I'll get into the card making. And I made a tag using the occasional tag set, and I'm doing the same exact thing, but this is with the jade, or the martini, I'm sorry. So it's a very light green. It really kind of blends in well. So if you really didn't want that, and there's no sparkle to it, so you could add some sparkle. So that is one with the martini. And then I did it with the jade. I'll show you. The jade is a lot darker, which is fun. I mean, it's the same thing, just different color embossing powders. Everything else is the same. So this is the jade. So you can kind of see those next to each other. Hi, Jamie. And then I did it with gilded, just so that you could see another option. So you could do sterling as well. And then last but not least, I have 2 more options yet. This is the Yuletide, and I have it all ready to go tonight because I did not want to have to heat emboss a bunch for you guys. So if you got the stocking, you can see this is what the Yuletide looks like. Yeah, I like the jade a lot, but I wanted to just do a couple different things, and I wanted, because I know people are getting their stockings, that it would be fun to do this. And I haven't painted any of that. I promise it won't, we're gonna do some painting, but it'd take a lot. And then the very last one that I did was fake plant with fairy dust. So the fake plant ink. And this is how I'm going to show you. What I did is I put my card base in here and I stamped out my in the fake plant, covered it with the embossing powder, heat set it, flipped the corner, did the same thing. Okay? So all the other ones were done. I did a bunch at a time, but this time what I'm going to show you do now to do this other corner, what I did instead of cleaning off my stamp, I just used a piece of acetate. I have a clear piece here somewhere. You could use packaging like this. Sorry if you're going to get all sparkly. And I put my stamp down how I wanted to arrange it, and then I picked it up on my Misty. That way I didn't have to clean it off because I could just wipe this off. So if you look, this is how it's going to be. So I wanted to show you how you can stamp with the like I like to use the Simon Hurley inks to heat emboss. I'm going to put that gilded away for a minute here. So I do work fairly quickly when I'm using the embossing powder or the inks from Simon Hurley, because though they stay wet a little longer, they don't stay wet super long. You could also do this with Distress Oxides. I've never tried it with Distress inks. I'm assuming they might work too. So we're just going to hit that with some anti-static powder. I like the jade, Shirley. I was really surprised at how much I like the jade. And of course, these all had a chance to sit back and dry. But I did a bunch of the painting last night. I did all of them in about an hour. It took like no time. So I am going to stamp this 2 or 3 times, working fairly quickly. And that's only because I want it a little bit darker and my ink pads that looks pretty good, are a little dry. But I thought, how fun is this? So then I'm going to take this and we're going to quickly do this. Did buy I did buy an extension cord first. So from now on, I can do my fuse on my table when I'm live, and I can heat emboss easier on my table for you guys. So shut that down. And I'm going to heat set. Yeah, I have, Francie, because it stays wet. It stays wet a little bit longer, so you can. You can do pigment inks too. So you have to work fairly quickly, but not as quick as you do with some other. I mean, you can try other dye inks, but I like to use the Simon Hurley inks. I mean, look at just like that. And look at how pretty that is. And the fairy dust gives you that sparkle. So I know not everyone, if you don't want to have 1,000 embossing powders in your room, or you don't think you're ever going to use green embossing powder again, get the fairy dust and then use your dye inks. Because the fairy dust or the alabaster or the icicle is clear. The fairy dust has the sparkle. You could also use the rainbow sparkle, which has a little rainbow color to it too. So it might change the color of your ink, but I do versifying all the time too with my black and clear. I do that a lot, but I find I bought some old pigment inks at a garage sale at my local craft store. These fresh ink pads, they're pigment ink stamp, and that's how I found out how I started using embossing powder with them, is because they weren't drying, and so I started heat embossing with the clear, and then I thought, well, I could try it with, I'm going to try it with the Simon Hurleys because they stay wet a little bit longer, and it worked. Now you could, if your ink is not working for you, what you want to do is clean your stamp off, and then right over the green, you could stamp it with the embossing ink and then redo it. But I find if I work fairly quickly, I can heat emboss on it. So yep, clear on the black. It's what I do. I don't tend to do, I use black embossing powder sometimes, but I tend to gravitate towards the clear all the time, mostly because the clear is on my desk. There we go. And just like that. So I'm just kind of checking to make sure it's all right. So now we're gonna put that aside, my misty aside. I don't know what sentiment I'm gonna use yet. I have two here and I'm gonna do them fairly quickly. I don't know. Okay, sorry if I give you, look away if you get seasick. I'm gonna drop this camera down a little bit because we're gonna do a little bit of painting and I wanna make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. We are going to paint not with aqua pigments, but with shimmer splashes. So I've got the Santa suit in there, You're a Mean One. I know there was only a few Santa suit earlier today, so otherwise if they're out, you can always sign up for the restock, but you could use an aqua pigment or a colored pencil or an aqua or a marker. Now there is a little bit of sparkle in these. You can see that on the bottom, see the sparkly. So I do try to mix them up. And every once in a while, I'll take my lid off and cover it with something else. And like a cloth or like a piece of tape, just, I don't even care, sometimes my finger, and I'll just shake it. I don't want to do it on camera because that can get people sick. If you do it with your finger, I will tell you, you will stain your finger. Just because it depends on how much room is in the bottle. You can roll them, things like that. I just kind of shake it up. I don't make it perfect because there's no nozzle to get clogged. But what we're going to do is we're just going to take it and I got to go on camera. Sorry. I'm just going to stick it in and I'm going to rub this on both sides. I don't need, I almost screwed up the whole thing. I need my cheaters. Need my old cheaters. And all we're going to do is go in here and paint. And I'm very careful, but I'm also not terribly worried. So I know I'm kind of close, but I'm going to bring it up a little bit closer so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And I'm just brushing it because with this little brush, you can pretty much get into all the little areas. And I'm not worrying too much. And then when I get to like an area like this, I just kind of dab it with the tip. And then I found that if I run over a little bit, I could just kind of rub with my fingers, or I don't care. To be honest with you, if you get a little bit too much extra outside the paint, then you just do some splatter. And that's all we really have to do. So I know it's going to be a little bit of painting, but it doesn't take too long. So I wanted to say that the snowflake, I don't have, I know they're going to make the announcement, the snowflake snowflake, the class that was offered with the box. The class is no longer available to purchase, but the box is now available to purchase on the regular website, not under the events page. And so are some of the add-ons, or some of the items that were available in the box, like the paper pad and things. So they are on the website now if you were interested in any of those items. And then I wanted to also talk a little bit tonight. We are making another, like I said, challenge card. We are celebrating this month. So because it's the 10-year anniversary, so tonight, this CYOE challenge, hashtag CYOE challenge, is celebrate. Can be any kind of celebration you want. It's not a specific celebrate, and I know it's the holidays, so that's kind of can be an easy, but if you don't make holiday cards, you can make a birthday card or an anniversary card or a celebrate whatever, and then you did it card or a baby card, anything you want. So, hi, Isis. Thank you. Yes, it was fun hanging with you guys in the chat. I mean, like I said, I was supposed to be there in person and it didn't work out this year, but I got to hang out with you guys in the chat. We had fun. I ate on camera, made Walter laugh, did a little crafting on the side. My crafting wasn't on camera, but it was fun to see everybody and watch the people that just kind of interact and see the video and the history and all that stuff and wave it. I was waving it like Francie. I was, and those people who I don't remember, Francie, if I sent you a message on Instagram or not, but I was trying to say hi to people that were, there. I see you. Like Penny, I said something to Penny and Jessica. who used to be on the design team, and Sarah Scraps. So this is fairly quickly, it comes together fairly quickly. So if you were gonna, it would not take that long to mass produce a bunch of these cards. Now, the one thing I will say is I did either do all the red or all the green, just because I figured that was I didn't want them to mix. And I literally am just using the edge of this brush to paint, which I love because that means I don't have to get a paintbrush out. I don't need any water. I don't have to clean it up afterwards because it sits right in the bin, right in the jar. I know my jar is off camera here. I'll put that on just so you can see that. But I also kind of just brushed it on, and then as it dried or as I was going around, if I noticed I missed a spot, I could go back quick. I mean, all those cards I created, I showed you the ones I did all the heat embossing, stamping, heat embossing, and I colored in the gold one and both tags. And I did all of that in under an hour. I mean, under an hour total. And that included the die cutting, the cutting out, the grabbing the embossing powders, the being distracted by the voice on TV, and the puppy, of course. But all that stuff. So I hope everyone's having a great week. Yeah, I think, oh, good, Francie. Like I said, I would love to have been there and hugged you guys in person, but it's okay. I spent time with my puppy. We did some walking. I got my massage chair delivered, and I got that put together. So I sat in that and kind of just let my, well, yeah, it's more of a vibrating kind of chair. It's not like the ball Suzette, whatever you call it. But it helps because I get headaches. So that was fun. So, and it was a nice weekend. It was like 50 degrees. So the dog and I went outside a few times. Hunting starting this second season. Hunting is coming up this weekend. So my honey is going to be hunting somewhat. So I'm going to do a bunch of crafting, making some Christmas cards. All that good stuff. So those of you, if you haven't checked out the holiday archive release, there is a holiday archive that's part of the anniversary release. There was a bunch of holiday stamps that were released, and then there was the first stamp set that Christopher ever designed, the thank you, which I do have here if you want to see it. That is all been released under the new release information. So we are the CYOE challenge. You can enter up to 2 times. I know most of you have heard this before, but I like to make sure I say it for the people who haven't or who might be catching this on replay. It's over in the Brutus Monroe Fan Club page on Facebook, and you need to make sure you use the hashtag CYOE challenge, because that is how I find the entries. It has to be in there somewhere. You can either edit the post, or if you forget, you can always tag me and put it in the comments, and I can edit the post, I think, or I just make sure I try to find it right away, because that has happened. But I go in and then I find them all at the end of the month, and I download them all with your names, and then I sit there and then I put all the names in a random wheel. Oh, you want to see it? I will show it to you. Okay, let's see. Where did I put them? Okay. Over here. I just put it away. Okay. This is it. This was the first stamp set. I believe it's called Thank You. Let me double check. Many thanks. And I was so excited that this was one of the releases. I remember looking at it at CYOE this summer, and I was like, oh, that's a stamp set. I would love to find that stamp set. So you've got the big thank you, and then you've got your heart, your puppy, paw print, your balloon, a scissors, a duck, some wedding rings, a wrench, and a bow tie, and you can put that inside the center. And of course, you could go through all your dies and find little pieces that you could put in the middle. I mean, I'm looking at this going, if you have the Flourishing Holiday set, you can do a thank you and put a warm wishes in the middle. They fit perfectly. So that would be fun. Or if you have a snowflake. Thank you, Christy. Yeah, this is the Yuletide embossing powder that came in the stocking, if you got the stocking. I showed a couple different examples, and then this one is the fake plant ink with the fairy dust on top. So we're just showing a couple different ways to kind of use your shimmer mist without having just a splatter. And then I just went in and I quickly just literally dabbed on the berries. It doesn't take much because even though they're circular, you don't have to hit it very much because it starts to soak in. And we almost have a finished card. I mean, obviously, and it doesn't take long to dry. You could set the heat emboss if you really have to. I think the berries took the longest, and that's only because I've got those big drops on there. But oh, and I forgot the stem on this one. That's all right. I can go back and do that. And I literally am just kind of painting them. And like I said, for the berries, I kind of just dropped in. So definitely check it out if you haven't done this before. It was just for fun. I loved how much that red poinsettia popped on the lunch bag last week. That I was talking to Heather afterwards, and I'm like, oh, I want to try it with a dark green. And so I tried it with the dill pickle, and then when I was all excited, and I was getting ready because I know some of the design team, like Melissa, will know. I was sharing, where we have our spot where we share our cards, or we put our information down. I was typing it in and I went to get the dill pickle information and I went, oh no, it's sold out. And I double checked to make sure. I thought that was a limited edition, so I thought we got to switch it up. We got to do a different color tonight. So I will say that you want to probably make sure that you don't use the two colors next to each other when they're very wet, because even though you've got that little bit of lip from the embossing powder, you could still mix, and um, these two won't make the prettiest colors. I was able to use just about all the embossing powders from the stockings on the chipboards. Finishing up, we'll post. Yes, please do so. Thank you. Oh, Francie, thanks. Like I said, it's not hard, and I love this stamp set, and I never really used it much when it was in stock a while back. Like I don't know when it was, so I was really excited to see it in the release. So I hope you guys aren't sick of it. I used it last week. I used it this week. I promise I won't use it again. We'll use something else. So I just wanted to go ahead and use it one more time because I just thought this was fun. When I was playing this weekend, when I stamped them out, I just thought like we missed some berries. I just loved the color. And I'm loving this bold color on lunch bag right now. So you may be seeing a lot of lunch bag in the coming weeks. I apologize for that, but it is one of my favorite cardstocks. So I'm just going to let we're going to move this one over here. Francie, so you should pick this one up before it gets out of stock because it is limited edition. I mean, it's only available for now. What I like about this stamp set is that it's not just the holly. You can get the points. It's not just the holly, but it's a very, I mean, that's a fairly big. Here's a card base. That's a fairly big, nice um pine needle. And then this one isn't holly, but it's a nice winterberry. I mean, look at how big that is. Oh, I'm thinking that must be an inside joke there with some gingerbread. I've been tempted to make this. I've been looking up gingerbread coffee. I saw a recipe for like a gingerbread latte coffee to make at home. I just haven't done it yet. I have been kind of avoiding making homemade anything right now. I made a bunch of candy, which has to get in the mail ASAP. And maybe I'll make it this weekend. So, I mean, you could just leave this, look at just with the holly berries. Okay, yes. Ah, okay. Well, I knew you guys did the gingerbread. I saw the video. You guys did some gingerbread. I was actually thinking about, I was looking at a website today because I was like, I don't have it. I kind of want a gingerbread die to make gingerbread. I don't want a stamp necessarily. I was like, I want to build a bow. But I decided against it. I don't to be a good girl for a while. I don't need to buy anything right now. But I have just been kind of getting the house ready for Christmas. I didn't decorate much last year because little poor puppy was a baby. And then the funny thing is I probably could have done it because I don't, and some of you guys know this, but Fletch broke his foot last year in 4 places the day after Christmas. We don't exactly know what he did other than he was running in the woods. We think he caught it in something like a hole because he runs like a gazelle. I mean, he's run deer down. That's how fast he is. And we think he caught it in just because of the way. And so he ended up being in a cone all winter. And so I'm really hoping that he has a good couple of days and doesn't jump in any holes because he loves the snow so much. And shoveling with Fletch is hilarious. You push the snow and throw it in the air, and he jumps and grabs it and eats it and all that stuff. So, other than that, is everyone else kind of getting ready for the holidays? Gonna be kind of a quiet one around here. I actually have a birthday to celebrate first and an anniversary coming up, right, Mom? And my son's birthday is this weekend. He's going to be 26 years old. So I just texted him, asked him if I could take him out for lunch on Friday and get a burger. So he probably only answer me while I'm live, and I won't get the answer till I hang up. But I was like, I can't believe my youngest is that old already. So here's the shy obsessed. Hey, that's okay. There's worse things to be obsessed with, right, Melissa? I mean, I'll be honest with you. I love Christmas. I love Christmas music. I could listen to it all year round. I could make Christmas cards all year round. I don't. I probably should just because, I do love making them, and I have tons. I mean, nobody here has tons of Christmas stashes, right? I mean, enough, more than enough. I was pretty good. I don't think I bought hardly any Christmas stuff last year. I did buy after the fact. I think I hit a sale and I bought a tree die and stamp. Actually, I found the stamp for a tree die. I can't even remember. Um, on a like black or after Christmas sale, and then I ended up finding somebody got rid of the stamp that matched it that wasn't available anymore. It's an older one. And then I had to buy a couple of dies to make gift cards after a friend of mine showed me them, but I wasn't this year. No holds bar. I've had a lot of Christmas this year, but it didn't help that we had all this beautiful new release of these older archive stamps that are just stunning. So, what I want to know, what is everyone's favorite like Christmas goodie? Not necessarily food wise, but what is something to you that says Christmas? Is there a specific cookie or a specific sweet or just something that is usually you only have around Christmas time? I have a couple of things that remind me of Christmas. One of them's lefse, which I haven't had in a long time. I should find, I wonder if the grocery store has some. I have a small town, so I don't know if I have any. I need to go look. I'd like some lefse. And then my cousin, well, my grandma started the tradition. My family had big holiday get-togethers. My dad is one of 5. And we had big Christmases that we get together, usually at my grandparents' house. Um, I think I don't remember always getting together at any of my other relatives' house once I was a little older, especially when I lived in the town, the same town as my grandparents. But um, we when we were old, when we were all kind of older, especially I think no, no, I don't know, both my grandparents had passed. We kind of moved on to other family members' house, but my grandma would make chocolate roll, and now my cousin Sarah has taken that over. It's been couple years since I've had it. Oh, would so love to have some chocolate roll. And it's like a giant Swiss cake roll. Yep, Mom. Homemade marshmallows. I told Tom I'm going to make some this year. Ooh, Francie, pizzella. Ooh, that would be yummy. So chocolate roll is Christmas to me. I've never attempted it. Not going to attempt it. I mean, I know the recipe. I have the recipe somewhere, but you know, my sister always made. She made caramels. They were Granny's caramels, and they were delicious. My sister Annie, and I made them last year for the first time, and they were a big hit. So I'm probably going to make some of those this weekend while Tom is hunting, so I can get them wrapped up. Oh, Francie, that's awesome. My grandma always had cookies above the top of her refrigerator, so we could go in and take them. Or well, I mean, of course I'd want to sneak them, but of course I'd ask. But the other thing that is a tradition in my family was my Aunt Meredith's cardamom bread. And I think this year I'm going to do something with cardamom. I have a couple of cardamom orange, I think they're cardamom orange slice cookies or something like that. I'd like to make some of those this year just because I like the flavor and it's been a while since I've had it. And I thought maybe that, or just find some sort of roll. I might make that for us for Christmas morning, or a bread like that. So I have one of my son's moms. She made. I'm not kidding you. She makes the best. Her name is Lynn. So she's my, and then Lynn and his other friend. Sorry, I was spacing the name for a minute. They make the best sugar. I will tell you, my sister Annie makes some pretty darn good sugar cookies. But there's a couple ladies here in town that make really good sugar cookies, and they used to make them for the sporting events for the kids. And I remember being like, I could have those. But Visocinos, I don't know if I know what that is, Christy. I may have to know what that is. I don't really know, to be honest with you. I didn't have a ton of traditions with my kids. I mean, they'd open a few presents on Christmas Eve, but I grew up always opening up on Christmas morning for the most part. Or at least that's what I remember. I mean, maybe when we were older, we opened Christmas Eve, but my kids, they loved getting their stockings. Not that their stockings were anything fabulous, but they love, Santa always would bring them an apple or an orange, which is great because that's what I remember my Santa always bringing me. And then they would just get little fun things in there. My daughter would like gum. My son hated gum, so he never had that. But my daughter would like gum. Okay, guys. Yeah, I need to know what this is, Christy. We'll have to explain some more. Here's some of our other options. Like I said, I'm going to quick hit this with a heat tool. I got to take my cheaters off because I can only wear them for a close-up. If I look at the screen, I will be blinded. We're going to hit this very cut. Ooh, that sounds great, Walter, too. I've seen a couple recipes for those that I've thought about, but I haven't made them yet. I'm just going to hit this quick. Just to kind of help it speed along just a little bit. I'm not going to worry about them being perfect. Exactly, Francie, right? Those travel well, I believe, too. I'm just going to hit it off a little bit. Okay, those look pretty good. I made pecan pie cookies 2 weekends ago. I think I might have told you guys about them last week. Oh, those were good. I loved it because it only made 2 pans. So it was just enough. All right, this is where I think this is some added fun. I was taught by this by one of my friends that I was at a crop and she showed me how to do this. And I wanted to kind of explain to you guys how. So I have a piece of the disco foil. So this works I know this works with any transfer foil, like the deco foils. I don't know if it would work with like a hot foil. I don't think it will. And then I have some pixie spray, and I'm going to do this off camera here a little bit. I'm just spraying it. I only have to do it off camera. I'm just literally spraying. I guess here, I can switch this around quick if I can find my mouse. You can kind of see me up here. I'm just hitting it with some pixie spray, just a little bit. This would also work. I'm not sure if you won't even be able to see it because it's, it's spray. It's, I didn't do the gold one because the gold one is, I got pixie spray on my remote. Spell with a B. Oh, Christy, that sounds wonderful. That sounds good. I kind of need that recipe now. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I've got these all with a little bit of pixie spray. They're a little tacky, and I'm just gonna take this, and I don't know if you can see. You can see right in here. That is some foil that's removed. And so I'm sorry, yeah, she's speaking my language. And all I'm gonna do is take it and hit it. And I see how you can see up there? Look at that little bit. You can do this with any, keep your little scraps. And I just go around and I do this. And I don't care if it gets on the holly. I don't care if it gets, I just add in a little bit of extra sparkle. And you don't want to spray, you just want to spritz it. Oh, that sounds even better. But look at how fun that is. Christy, oh man, you're making me hungry. So it's sparkle. I know it doesn't show up as well on camera as it does in person, but when you just it hits the light just right. So it's fun to just use a little bit of, and you can do a ton with just a small piece. And if the more you spritz it, it works kind of like the foil reactive spray, but what is the difference is that this gives you just the little tiny bits. Because it's such a fine mist of a spray. To be honest with you, I hadn't thought about this till I was talking about this with Heather earlier today. This would work really well, if you over spray your stencil and your background is really sticky. You could quickly do this and it would take away a lot of that. It is, Christy. And look, I can keep going. I just can keep going. And it's just, or if you messed one up, let's say you messed up a background, and you can't reuse the negative piece, just grab a piece. You can just shift it around a little bit. And you can see all I did was swatch dots this piece off. And so it was kind of small. Not that I couldn't use it for like something, but it doesn't take much. And you can just put it down and pull it up. And it adds just that little bit of extra sparkle. And then you kind of have to figure out, because, you got to feel, is there still some sticky here or there? Then you could just cover it with some anti-static powder tool. Just take some of the extra sticky away. And then now I will say, if you're going to stamp in that specific area, you may want to stamp before. Did you see that? My thing just fell apart. Oh no. I know what happened. Mess. Clean up in aisle 4. I hit it too hard and the powder thingy, it was right on top. So we got to clean this up quick. Excuse me a minute. That's what we have cloths for. Ooh, to do in a garbage can. Live crafting, right? So we're going to move this off to the side here quick, and we're going to spray some of this. Oh, that's not what we want. We want some of this. Oh, one of my favorites. Cinnamon hearts, squeaky clean. I know. Did you see that? I'll fix it later. I hit it just right, and I pulled it. I'm going to show you what I did. I pulled it off. So, of course, there's a bunch of powder on there now. This just wraps around the edge of it, and it just needs to go back around it. And I pulled it off. That's what it looks like. So I can put that back on. We can fix that. See? It's going to go back on top, and then this has got to go back on top. but we'll do that later. You don't need to sit there and watch me fizzle with that. All right. It's all right. All good. Hmm? Yeah, well, it was this part right here. It's the actual bead part that attaches. It wouldn't attach to washi tape. That's why that happened. It wasn't that it came apart, but I know what you're talking about. It was the foam piece came off. It's just anti-static powder too, a little bit. It just wipes off. There we go. No harm, no foul. Guess what? They're not sticky no more. All right. So we've got that. We need some sentiments, but yeah, it was the cushion, not the base. Yeah, I did do that one time with the base, the very first time I used it, as I was twisting it. This is just a piece of scratch cardstock. I would say cabbage would work really, really well with this. As you can tell, it's the same size as my card base. Actually, we'll probably use it with this one, and then I'll grab something else for this one because it matches. And we're just going to cut this down a little bit. And I'm just going to trim off a little bit. And this is where I can kind of look and see, is there a side I don't like? What I ended up doing for my sample card is I cut a little bit off each side and then a little bit off each top and bottom until I was happy with it. Cut a little here and a little here. All right. I'm not going to put all of them together. I mean, because you'll get the idea. So we're going to go ahead and glue this down. Yeah, the cushion. Oh, man. Go ahead and glue this down. We got to add a sentiment to it. I mean, these are pretty flat card. I mean, you wouldn't have to put gems on it if you didn't want. You could also use like stickles or sequins or whatever. You could splatter with, you could splatter some of the Uramine one with this. You could probably splatter, you could do the silver, to add a little bit more, but I kind of like the plain of this. And then I did make my base out of, oh, this is not the base. Those are extra pieces. I did make my base out of lunch bag 2. So I am going to trim this down just a hair on each side, just to show that little bit of extra. So I've got about probably 4 and not 4 1/8 by 5 and I don't know, what is that? 2/8, not 2/8. 3/8. So it's just a little bit shy. And that's, I like to put my card panel on my card on my mat and do that. So that way I can kind of eyeball it, especially if I don't get it on there straight. And this is going to be a good time. And see, the nice thing is, I think for this card, I made this card portrait. We're going to make this card landscape. And so I can see, look at just the little bit of difference between those two. It's hard. I'll see if I can pull them up. See, there's a little bit of difference with those. This is darker. This one's lighter. No math after 8 p.m. No, that's why I didn't. No math, Francie. Well, it's not 8 p.m. here. But no, I wasn't doing math. I was just guesstimating. But I didn't do the math. I actually looked at my trimmer to see what that was. And I just counted. And then I was like 2/8. And I'm like, wait, 2/8. That's not right math. Math teacher, Mr. Peterson, would be angry at me if we're doing my math that way. So, okay. So I've got my card base here. I've got my couple of tags here. I thought what it might be fun to do is, I wanted to show you an option for the card base. I thought it would be fun to grab one of these. And I think I'm going to use this one because it's real fancy. And we're going to cut this out of some green cardstock. See what I have. Where's my cabbage? I don't know if I have that handy. We're going to go ahead and pull the Jurassic. Jurassic will work. Not quite long enough. All right. So we're going to cut it out of a die first. Cut it out of the die first. And like I said, these are well, maybe we're going to cut it out. I had it here. Here it is. The Occasional Tags die set. This was the large die. And it will just fit in my little mini machine here. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim this. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make your brain hurt. I will tell you guys, I've had a headache most of the day, and it's there just a little bit, but you guys helped it make it go away, which I knew would happen. Now, I know it's not going to cut out in one pass here because it's a little longer than um my little Sizzix here. So we're just going to tape it down as best I can. We're going to cut it out. We might have to cut it out twice. Let's move that before we make a mistake. And then we're just going to add a little tag. We're going to add a little piece to the bottom. Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. Suck my plates through. There we go. It did not cut the bottom out because it moved a little bit, but that's okay. I should just grab my big die cutter. But we can shift it up. All we have to do is cut out the bottom. Okay. This is where I know I'm going to need my big die cut machine anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and we're just going to kind of cut it. I'm going to try to eyeball it so that if you can see that, it's kind of equal on each side. And I guess I didn't have to use such a big piece of the tag, but I didn't have to cut this out in a tag. I'm going to die cut it off screen here, guys, because it's just a little easier and it won't shake my table as much. All right, let's pull that through. And now, okay, and of course, so now, come on. I will be honest with you, I ran it through kind of quickly. I know this got tagged up here, but we're going to kind of, I'm not going to poke it all out right this second, but my thoughts is that you could also do it with this underneath, right? No, it did not use very much liquid at all. Oh, you love the holly with the gold on it. Yes, nope, it didn't. Let me just grab a scratch piece of paper. I literally just, I'm gonna go real close. I took it and I actually wiped it off on both sides, and then I just went like that. I mean, and there is a little shimmer in the ear mean one. So it did not take very much. I mean, I just painted until it started getting dry. Just gonna paint this on because I can cut this out later. See, this side I only wiped out once, then I had more in that. But so it does not take much at all. And like I said, this is just the shimmer splash. You know, you can use the aqua pigments if you want, but I liked the idea of using the shimmer splash because there's already a paintbrush included. And I just brushed it on. Now, if I don't wipe it off, it's going to be a little thicker, but not much. And then, yeah. So hardly at all, Susan. I mean, you can even see, because this is just on the lunch bag, you can see that lunch bag through there versus when you use it with the embossing ink, which kind of acts as a buffer or a bumper to hold it in place. You really don't see that underneath. I'm going to dry this real quick so you can see it. I mean, it didn't take like nothing there. I mean, look, it's dry that fast. This might be a little bit tacky, right? Those two dark spots, but I mean, it didn't take much for it to dry. I could die cut that out and use it. So, which would be fun for the, like I said, if I cut the bottom of this off and use a little bit of that green. So of course, since I'm alive and I die cut this, I die cut it sideways, got all my little pieces in here. And I don't think you guys don't necessarily want to see me poke it all out. Pokes out pretty quickly. But this is what I did with this card. I use those elaborate edges dies, and I used this one right here, cut it out of it, and then I cut it right down the middle, and then I put it on as a base. Oh, eggnog. I have a funny story about eggnog. See, if you put that at the bottom of the tag, see how pretty that would be? I mean, it's the same color, but just that little bit of extra, or you could do it on the edges. And then you could put another tag on the back side of it of the same color, and it would be welcome between. So my son, this is the one that's turning 26. I took him to one of those big box stores, where everything but you buy in bulk. I mean, it's not the one that starts with the C, but the one that um, our friend Sam runs. And he used to be able to go and taste things, and you didn't have to necessarily have a parent with you to taste things then. And he came running over, and he was trying. I didn't know. I go, "What are you drinking?" He's like, "I want more." And he goes, and so we walked over. He showed me what he was doing, because the lady probably, I think at that time, the lady was kind of like, "You need your mom's permission." He was drinking eggnog, and he was little. And to me, I was obviously, I'm in my 20s. I'd never had eggnog, because the idea of it made me kind of want to go, oh, because I didn't really know what it is. And I kept thinking, I don't want to drink egg flavored anything. Plus the fact that I ate so many eggs when I was pregnant with my youngest son that I don't like the smell of, don't ever, ever feed me scrambled eggs. I will not eat them. I mean, I can't stand the smell of scrambled eggs. I don't like scrambled eggs. Now, I didn't cut this all the way through, because I have old cutting plates, so it didn't cut perfectly, but it's because that was user error. There we go. That's why I keep this little Fiskars handy cut thing for. So yeah, I am anxious to try eggnog again. I have some eggnog truffles I want to make, or eggnog candy I want to make. But look at how pretty that is. And actually, because of what this is, what I think I would do is I would probably, you could either, I'm going to actually snip this part off here, because it's getting kind of long. I mean, you could cut your tag down first, but I mean, just cutting that little bit off, look at how pretty that is. And then if you attached another thing right behind it, it's going to be sandwiched between the two of them. I'm not doing that to this too, obviously, but you could put your little holiday sentiment here and your to from on the back. So I did want to kind of point that out, but I need to finish this card before we get too late to the end of the day. So if you've not gotten the elaborate edges dies, it's really fun, because you can add those little edges to each one of these. I plan on using them. I think I'm going to use them again next week. Yes. No, no, I will not eat them on a train. I will not eat them in the rain. I will not eat them for anything. I'm like, I don't want them with ketchup on them or hot sauce or anything. I don't even like, the smell makes me gag. Ugh. I liked poached eggs. Poached eggs are my thing. So here's our sample. Here's this. We need a sentiment. Now we're gonna grab the flourishing. This was from the Merry Making event last year, and I know there's just a few still in stock. I'm gonna use these, and I'm gonna go ahead, and we use Deck the Halls in my other one. Uh-oh, stamps everywhere. I'm gonna go ahead and use Merry Everything on this one, because I want to. And this is where you could actually totally change it up and add on, this is where you could heat this in silver, heat this in gold, depending on your color. We're going to just do it in the same color we did this one in. I got to pick those up, guys. My stamps fell over, because you know what'll happen if I don't. I have a little puppy who'll come and eat them. So I'm sorry to ruin that for yourself. Anyone who's ever going to plan on making me breakfast, don't make me scrambled eggs. Scrambled eggs and mushrooms are about the two things I don't want to eat in this world. I pretty much try, I mean, I'm not even really, I'm not a big fish eater, but I've been eating some fish. So it fits in a couple different spots, but I think I like it right here. So it's just a little bit unexpected in this corner. And then which one was this one? This is the fairy dust one, right? Yes, that's the Yuletide. So we're gonna go ahead and very carefully grab a little bit of our anti-static powder tool. I'm just gonna use my finger since I have to put it back together. That's gonna be a fun thing. And then we're gonna grab some embossing ink and stamp that down. Now, if you have big gems, you wouldn't have to necessarily paint the holly if you had some red gems. I really like the pop of the red Santa suit on the lunch bag cardstock. Which one was this one again? Oh, did I just do that wrong? I did. This is not, this is the one we did with the fake plant. So good thing that's a good thing about a Misty. I left it right where it's at. So I did too many of these. Now you wouldn't have to add the sparkle to it and it still works, but it's Christmas. I think you can always add a couple more sparkle to Christmas cards, right? So we're gonna grab that fairy dust and throw that in here. I mean, I know it's on a layer, but it's almost a one layer card. You could totally do it straight on the card base if you wanted to, and it would be a one layer card. I like that little bit. I did try it with a red pop originally. I didn't like it. I like the green better. There you go. And then we're just going to let it cool for just a minute. Wipe off a little bit of that extra static. And then for a final touch, I am going to use emerald green gems. You could use the red berries, but I think I like just the pop of the red berries by themselves. So Francie has her goggles on. She's ready for me. I'm going to go ahead and add some gems to my card. All right, here comes the glue. I'll put one up here. We're just going to dot some around. All right, Francie, here I come. We're going to add those on here and throw them in. They've got a little bit more of a darker back to them, so they've kind of got that little bit of a black back to them. But like I said, I've said this before, I like using the lid because then I just shake the lid and that kind of tips some of them over so that I don't have to flip and mess them around. And then we got to add a few more here and there because there's a few spots. And I think we need one maybe here, one here, maybe one there. So we have two there. And then we've got a card. So don't forget to check out the holiday archive release. I did link everything down in the description box on the Brutus Monroe fan club, on the Brutus Monroe channel. On my channel, it will also be down in there tomorrow. If you scroll up in the link, if you're still live with me, I think I put all the links for those there. But don't forget to enter the Create Your Own Ending Challenge. Create a celebration card of some sort. For me, that just happens to be Christmas because I need a few Christmas cards yet. I haven't sent any out yet. They're going to be late, like always. That's just the way I work. So there we go, you guys. So I hope you enjoyed that painting with shimmer splashes. Like I said, I didn't add any splash to it. I think you could, and it's really hard to see on camera the sparkle, but I mean, it sparkles all over. So we have a couple different versions. Like I said, you can have your card. I mean, it can make a couple of tags. You could do this without, you could do this with any kind of greenery, really. But I wanted to make a Christmas card. We've got the dill pickle, This is the martini, or I mean, this is the fake plant with the fairy dust. This one is the Yuletide. We've got the martini and we've got the jade. I think the jade and the Yuletide are two of my favorites. But this kind of gives you more of a no line coloring. So thank you very much, you guys. I hope you guys have a great evening, and I'll come back next week and see what I have for you. I don't there Christopher is not live tomorrow night. He is taking a staycation. I believe they're going to be doing some live packing on Friday. I don't have the exact time. Um, but have a great weekend, everybody. Would you get them cards? That's funny, Christy. Exactly. I hope you all have a great evening and a happy weekend. Stay warm, especially those of you getting snow. You can send the snow my way. I like snow. So I will talk to you all next week. All right. Bye now.